Hi there, everybody. My name is Jeremy Siskin, and if you're seeing this, it probably means that you purchased my book, Jazz Piano Fundamentals. So thank you, and also it means that you successfully scanned that first QR code. So good going. And I wanted to take this opportunity to welcome you and bring you through a little bit of the introductory materials. If you're fine to go through them by yourself, you can ignore the rest of this. But let's take a small look. Excuse me. So in the introduction, one of the main takeaways is that learning jazz is like learning a language, right? And we want to get totally fluent in jazz. It's one thing to understand theory, right? And there's some theory in this book. But just like you might understand the grammar of a language, but not be able to hold a conversation in real time, it doesn't actually do us that much good to just understand the theory. And what that means is that we're going to have to spend a lot of time reinforcing concepts. Even concepts that don't really seem that hard, we want to spend a lot of time making sure that they actually get kind of deep into our subconscious and we don't even have to think about what scale to use with what chord, how to find a voicing, what notes belong to which chord, and all of these different theoretical concepts. They need to be ingrained not just intellectually, but into our fingers and hands. And so that's a lot of the work that we're going to do, and that's why this book doesn't maybe go as quickly as other jazz piano books. It doesn't cover as many subjects because I'm trying to draw you through in a way where you're going to actually be a fluent speaker of the language of jazz, not just understand it on an intellectual level, not just be able to take a theory test and pass it, but actually play some jazz piano. Hopefully, a lot of jazz piano. The other thing that the introduction says about learning jazz like a language is that it takes time and it takes immersion. So as much as I would love to be able to tell you that, in 3 weeks, once you buy this book, you'll be a great jazz pianist, it's probably not going to happen for most of us. In the same way that even if you're a great student, very smart, very diligent, you're not going to learn to speak French fluently in 3 weeks. It's really, truly a long-term process. And so you have to really commit and you have to have that faith to put in the time, even if you don't necessarily see results immediately. There's kind of a lot of aspects that have to come together. Now, this page that you're looking at, you've gotten there because you've scanned that first QR code. The second QR code is for the 6th edition Real Book. And the Real Book is really crucial because that's kind of like the training grounds that you're going to use. Once we go over a concept, I'm going to generally be asking you to apply it to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tunes from the Real Book. So it's like if we're talking about math, I'm telling you how to do multiplication, and then you're going and you're working it out on all of these different problems. Those problems are what you're going to see in the Real Book. And so it's really essential to have the Real Book, and I'll be referring a little bit to some specific tunes and giving you assignments for specific tunes. The other thing that I'm asking you to pursue is some sort of a play-along device. This will come up starting around chapter 5, because it's best to learn jazz at the beginning as though you're playing in a band, not solo. With solo piano, I say in the book, I've written a book called Playing Solo Jazz Piano. I love it, but there's a lot of elements to take care of because you have the bass, you've got the chords, you've got the melody all at once, and generally we like to take these things one at a time as we're getting started. So we want you to practice playing as though with a band, and unless you have a band around, the best way to do this is with play-alongs. The options that I've given you, you can almost always find play-alongs on YouTube these days, but they're not that customizable. So I do recommend getting that iReal Pro app so that you can really customize your play-along experience and find a tempo and a format that's ideal for your practicing. So the tune bank is key because even as you get the Real Book, that's going to have tunes from a wide variety of eras, a wide variety of composers, and we need to work up to that. Just like we're not going to start our French lessons with Baudelaire and I don't know that enough French poets to actually execute the rest of this metaphor. But we're not going to start taking from all different eras of French, ancient French, French drama, French poetry. We need to kind of limit what kind of tunes we're taking. So what I've done is I've given you a list of tunes where you're pretty immediately going to be able to apply what we're talking about. No tune is 100% a fit with everything that we're talking about, but this tune bank is a pretty darn good place to start. Because even as you look through the real book, you're going to be finding some tunes and some chords that you don't quite know what to do with. So I would kind of maybe take a picture of this tune bank. If you have the PDF, you can print it, and then have that by your sides, or you can put little sticky notes in your real book for these tunes, so that you can make sure you're practicing tunes that you're going to have the tools to succeed with. Speaking of success, I hope you read through and take seriously these principles for learning jazz. I think these first two are really important. Of course, I think they're all important. I wrote the darn book. But the first one is to learn rules and then break them. Of course, my goal for you is that you're playing just complete self-expression from an emotional place, playing exactly what you hear. But in order to get there, what you need to do is put some strict rules on yourself, so that as you're practicing, you know whether or not you're being successful. So I will be the happiest person to have you break the rules once you can 100% execute them. There's going to be nobody happier than me to have somebody taking chances, making variations, asking themselves what-if questions around next steps. That is where I want you to be. But before you get there, you need to really, really master the rules that I'm giving you. And the second one that I want to go over is make a mess and then clean it up. This is something one of my piano teachers, Sophia Rosoff, used to say. And it's so key because, especially for people coming from a classical background, a lot of times I find that students don't want to try things until they know it's going to be perfect. Guess what happens when you do that? You never actually try anything. So don't be afraid to make a mess. Don't be afraid to sound bad. Some of you are coming in with sophisticated musical experience, and you're going to, be playing these first level improvisations, and you're going to be like, I know it's supposed to sound better than this. And absolutely, you're right. And you have a good ear and a sophisticated sensibility, but you're still in French 1, right? You're still making simple sentences. So I would ask you, first of all, to not stop making a mess, even if you don't like the way it sounds, or even if you feel a little bit out of control. And then we can work on cleaning it up together. And then be patient. As we learn more and more, you'll find that your improvisations and your comping, et cetera, are going to get more and more sophisticated. All right. We're ready to head on to Unit 1, so I'm going to leave you here. But please, if you find this helpful, I'm going to be demonstrating everything in these videos, so make sure to scan the QR code at the beginning of every lesson to see these videos. I'm wishing you the absolute best of luck on your jazz piano journey, and I hope that I can be helpful, and I hope that you enjoy the book. Thanks so much.